Welcome to the Moms of Maternity YouTube and podcast. Today's host is Shannon Handy.
Well, welcome to the Moms on Maternity podcast. I'm Shannon.
Yeah, this is such a great topic. Really.
It is. It's so interesting. I was reading your website last night and going through some things, and I think the issue of shame and guilt is something that all moms deal with, whether they realize it or not. So first, I just want to ask you, so your description is you are a shame guilt educator, among other things. So what exactly is a shame guilt educator?
Well, I'm the first one, so it's a good question to ask. Somehow, someone said, "What do you do about shame?" And I went, "Ah, what an interesting word. Shame guilt is an energy that forces our positive emotions to be negative." So I said, "Why do you go to school? Why do you go to therapy for depression? And then you do 10 years for anxiety, then you do 5 years for self-esteem issues. Can we just get rid of shame guilt because that's the root of all the problems?" So I did. And I had people that had 10 years of therapy helped in one session. And I went, "Oh my goodness, everybody needs to know this."
What are some of your key tips? Because I'm a working mom of two, and a lot of times I feel guilt because I feel like I'm working too much and not paying enough attention.
Everybody does. It's
So
everybody.
what are some easy ways to overcome those feelings?
I can help people identify it, release, and avoid it. And the reason that, and I don't want to go too far into it because then, this should be on the podcast. But anyway, the reason that this is so important is that the mom guilt, I'm a mom of 3 kids, so I know. It's so prevalent because we feel as moms that what we're doing right here, right now is the problem. And I'm saying, hello, the problem started when you were 2 years old, when they wouldn't give you your lollipop or the toy that you want, and you were told that you were whatever, or when you went to school or your mom, etc. So shame guilt builds. It doesn't go away unless we make it go away. So when we get to mom time, 30, 40, we have this conglomerate of shame guilt. So the mom automatically feels guilty because we want the best for our child and we don't want to make the mistakes that we made, etc. But the reason it's so intense is because it's accumulated from past. So I say, can we not work on this issue? Can we work on releasing the shame guilt that is in the past? Because then that decreases the intensity of it. Just that knowledge alone has helped me and many other people realize that it's not this focus, it's what has all happened through your life. So that's really important. Okay, does it solve the issue? No, but it gives you the focus that it's not all the child's fault and you're not so intense on that particular moment. You have to realize that the moments have accumulated.
Do you have any tangible things?
Yes.
Journaling,
yes.
Breathing, things like that.
Yes, I do. Do you want me to talk about that now?
That would be great.
Okay. We all know about the love energy that comes into us, especially with a child. Oh my goodness. We have the love and the feeling and the joy and the happiness, and we feel really good. Our esteem is good, etc. So we're like all ready to go. We're happy. We have the love energy, and love energy is seen in all positive emotions because love is the root of joy and self-esteem and confidence and expectations and hope. Now, on the other side, which is not understood, is that there is a negative energy that also comes into us. And that negative energy is called shame guilt. not shame and guilt, but shame, guilt, is a negative energy. Now, what happens to your computer when it gets a virus of negative energy?
It stops working.
It stops working, and it sometimes, if it does work, it doesn't work well. Like the Microsoft Office takes pictures and the pictures don't work, or you press the B key and a W comes up. I mean, it's just called distorted. And it's mind-boggling because you can't fix it, because it's not like one problem. It's like this doesn't work and that doesn't work, and you're like, I need a virus removal kit. We humans are a computer, like. That's how we operate. We're crystalline structure. So therefore, we're like a computer because we're crystalline. So the negative energy comes into us. VI, shame, guilt. The negative energy enters us. So what does it do? It distorts us. It changes our positive emotions to negative ones. It changes compassion to depression. It changes intuition to anxiety. It turns our passion into anger. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we are positive. It's just that the negative energy distorted it, and we now have negative emotions. Also, it distorts our brain. Now I can go into all the levels of our names of our brain, but it's not for helping us.
Right.
Just to know that we go into confusion, like you go into confusion about your computer, because the shame guilt distorts the neurological pathways. So it's not getting the right information. You get confused. Confusion is the biggest sign of shame guilt presence. The operating system doesn't know what to do. So we act like we're confused. Oh my God, now I'm really guilty because I can't even think right. And shame guilt does that. It confuses you because it distorts your neural pathways.
Mm-hmm.
I've had clients come to me like 6 months after I worked with them for a little while, releasing the shame guilt of the past, and they're smarter. I too got smarter. Not because I've read more books, but because I released the distortion on my nerve cells that now can be more logical. It's very interesting.
It is. Is there anything, if I wanted to take 5 minutes out of my day to do something to kind of release some of this? Obviously, it takes time and therapy to get through the shame guilt, but is there anything, easy that can be done on a day-to-day basis?
Of course, and you can do it all the time. But let me finish this distortion. It also distorts our physical body, meaning that our gallbladder doesn't work as well, our stomach doesn't work as well, because the pathways, we're meridian lines. I think everyone kind of knows we're energy lines inside of us. And so when you distort it, it doesn't work as well, like your digestion isn't as good. Right. You know how you get sick in your stomach and it distorts it. And I believe it's the first vulnerable thing that happens to our physical condition that causes us to have disease. Okay, and it also distorts our spiritual well-being, meaning that God has a walkie-talkie, and you have a walkie-talkie, and you can talk to God's spirit or whatever language you want to use. But the shame guilt distorts the signals. So people, I can't talk to God, God's not there. And it's because you have distortion on the line. He can't hear you, or you can't hear him. I worked with channelers when I was in Sedona, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And after we released the shame guilt, they had much clearer channel to their spirit self. It was quite remarkable. So anyway, so that's all. There is no good shame. People say, oh, you need shame, you need guilt to become moral. Shame guilt does not belong to humanity. It's common, but not normal. So that's the first step. When you feel the shame guilt, you go, bump. It's not of me. Never say my shame, my guilt. It's not of me. Okay, and that's not going to get rid of it, but we can start.
Right.
So that's why I did the introduction, because you have to have the mindset, shame, guilt, and energy, like a computer virus, and I don't want it.
Acknowledge it.
Then, exactly. And you have to know your enemy. The only enemy we have in life is shame, guilt, energy. It's not your mother, your father, your grandmother, your newspaper. It's shame, guilt. That's it. So then you put that to the side. And, I'm talking to moms who are like extremely busy.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the time to write, it's okay. You can write when the diapers change or the cook, the cooking, whatever. But just put it in your mind that it's not of me. I'm good. My new film's coming out. I'm good. So I want you to say, I'm good, get out. Then you go, you write. When the shame, guilt over, how do you feel? I feel like I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So you can say, hi, I'm not good enough. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me. What do you have to say? So we're concentrating on the emotion. Even though the emotion is saying what shame, guilt saying, we're not focusing on it. We're focusing on the emotion. Hi, I don't feel good enough. Thank you so much for coming to see me. Now I have a DVD on my YouTube channel and website, Out of Discord into Harmony. And that is me talking to my emotions. I have little kids, actors, is my emotion. Everybody talks about the inner child. Well, it's an inner family.
Right, right.
And I show you my inner family. So I'm bringing the unconscious conscious, and not hypnosis. You don't need that, because then it messes it up. You only do what your soul is telling you to do.
Right.
You have to address shame, guilt more on a spiritual level.
Okay.
So, hi, I don't give a damn. Thank you for coming to see me. Whatever you are feeling, say hi. Thank you so much. Don't deny it. Don't push it away.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has the inner critic, and that's a whole nother story in itself. And in my film, I have a communication talk with the inner critic. So I'll teach you how to talk to your inner critic, which is really your best friend, because the inner critic is your shame, guilt producer. Aha. We got to talk to this guy. We got to say it's the year 2021, and I don't need the shame, guilt stuff anymore.
Right.
So you negotiate. So that's part of what I help people do. So keep talking to your emotions. They will talk with you, to you, and they're the ones that hold the shame, guilt energy. That's why you, Shannon, can't say, I get rid of all the shame, guilt I've ever had. Well, it ain't going to work, because it's the little emotions inside of you that's holding the energy, because they're the ones that got it when they were 2 and 4 and 10 and 6 and 14 and 20 and so forth and so on. However, you do not have to go to each episode in your life. If you go to the kid that's 2 years old, picking up the shame, once she or he releases it, the whole spectrum of that line is also gone, like a house of cards. It sounds like it's a forever thing, but it really isn't. When you get this, I call it a shame guilt scar. And once you find that, which is easy, people find it, you don't have to be psychic or anything. When you start talking to yourself instead of other people, then you find out what's really happened with yourself. And this is called self-healing. I'm not saying that therapy is not good and it's good to talk to other people. It stopped me from committing suicide. So, it gets you to first base. But if you really want to do the healing, you got to do self-healing yourself. And that's what I do. I teach people how to do this.
And I was on your website yesterday. You have a lot of resources on there. So tell me about how people can reach out to you and what types of resources you have there.
Okay, loishollis.com, and I give a free talk, because this is so new. People will say, "What is this?" So they don't want to, sign up for a session right away, and I understand that. So I will talk to somebody for like 15 minutes and, see how I can help them. This shame guilt situation is so individual that it's hard to say, this is the course, this is how you do it, because it's individual. And I understand that. So that's why we can talk. I talk for 15 minutes with you and kind of help out where I can. Then also, I have a free ebook. It's called 500 Questions, One Answer. So I show you 500 ways in a behavioral situation that is caused by shame guilt energy, because we need that. I mean, your
Yeah,
shame guilt and experiences are different than mine.
of
I
course.
mean, it's all different. And people say, well, that's not shame and guilt because that's not what, Lois had. Well, it's what you had. And this is how you experienced it. That's why it's been so elusive, because nobody could put their finger on a specific experience. And I'm saying you can, because we're all so different. So I have 500 ways, and you'll find yourself in 500 ways. So that's an ebook, and I have it like on an autoresponder. So you'll get 25 segments each week.
And do you feel like this type of therapy and this type of work will help, say a working mom kind of feel just more at ease with life and not feel so guilty all the
Burdened.
time?
Yes. Yes. And it's almost imperative for moms. And it's because our child starts bringing up the past episodes that we forgot about, and we want to forget about them, but our baby won't let us.
Right.
Because God put us on an evolutionary track. We're all on an evolutionary agenda. We're like on a treadmill without an off button.
Yeah, that's a good way to
So,
describe how life is.
yeah, so you're on it. And the more you can see within yourself that you can help yourself, the less sweat's going to come out of you on this treadmill.
Well, I'm sure we could all sweat a bit less, especially these days amidst the pandemic, a lot of at-home
Oh, it's
teaching,
off the chart.
learning time.
My
There's just a lot going on. And Lois, I really appreciate you sharing some of your expertise. This is so interesting because, as you said, this is new. This is something that isn't addressed very often.
and but it's not addressed in this way. They say we need shame guilt as a human. If I could only make that so emphatic, we do not need shame guilt energy. Why do I say shame guilt? Because shame's in the unconscious, guilt's in the conscious.
Hmm.
But it's the same energy, and that's what confuses people.
Yeah.
There's no healthy poison. As a nurse and as a medical profession forever, the medical field compartmentalizes things. If you have a bacteria in your brain, they call it meningitis. If you have the same bacteria in your lungs, they call it pneumonia. If you got the same bacteria in your heart, they call it carditis. If you have the same bacteria in your joints, they call it bursitis. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they call shame and guilt differently. Okay, it has different presentations, but the source is the same. So let's, forget about that. Just call it shame, guilt, negative energy out of here. That's huge.
That is huge. If we can get rid of that, I think we would have much more freedom in our minds and just be happier in general.
Well, of course. And don't know that shame, guilt, energy needs us. It's almost like a parasitic energy. It's a
Huh.
long story, but it's
Interesting.
really, yeah, you're not going to find this on the internet. And that's why since Adam and Eve, we've been stuck with this damn shame guilt stuff, because nobody identified it as a source that we don't need. Our culture tells us we need it. We need to be victimized. We need to be feeling guilty. And we're going, no, we don't. But how do we get rid of it? Well, we just get rid of it. It's shame, guilt, energy. It's a parasite that needs us. It feeds off of our light energy. That's a long story. And maybe someday we'll go into that. But moms, we need to know we don't need shame, guilt, energy because it's a parasite and it's negative and it messes all of us up.
Well, that is a wonderful note to end on. Lois, thank you so much. I could sit here and talk to you for so long about this topic.
For more, please visit www.momsofmaternity.com.